Today I'm changing the transmission fluid on a 2006 Jeep Liberty. Before you begin, make sure you have all the tools and materials needed. A good shop manual, socket, ratchet, extension, torque wrench, T25 wrench, rags, a large drain pan, long funnel, and of course lubricant appropriate for your application. And don't forget a new filter. Here I'll use AMSOIL Signature Series ATF. Always make sure you're using the right products. Check your owner's manual or shop manual or other reliable source. AMSOIL has a great product lookup guide and I'll link to that in the description. At the moment, the shop manual is holding down the new gasket that comes with the filter. That way it will be nice and flat when it's time to put the pan back on with the new gasket. Make sure your vehicle is in park, parking brake set, wheels chocked, and never get under a vehicle held up by a jack. Work safe. Clean around the pan first. Here I'm using compressed air to blow away dirt and crud in the area around the edge of the pan. This is from the front on the left is the angle we're looking at here. This is the driver's side of the pan. And this is the front of the pan right here. A 6-point socket is best if you have one. After years of service, some of the bolt heads can get a little crusty. The fluid is drained by removing the pan. The oil spills out around the edge of the transmission pan when you remove it, so a large drain pan is used to cover the larger area you need to avoid a mess. The pan bolts are loosened and removed. One bolt is left in loose in the front and back, so the pan will be loose but not fall. Okay, right now we're down to one bolt and one hand holding her on. Now we're down to just the one hand. So hopefully this goes okay. Yeah. Here's what we got for a setup. It doesn't actually sit that high off the ground, it's on jack stands. Note the large pan underneath to catch the fluid when the transmission pan comes off. No show pony, just a good honest vehicle, bugs on the front and mud on the side. Here's the pan before it's cleaned up. The magnet is doing its job. Some fine magnetic sludge is from normal wear. Here's some crud on the magnet. Nothing too frightening. A little bit on there. That's the magnet, all cleaned up. Goes right here. The pan and the magnet are cleaned. Brake cleaner works good for this. Use brake cleaner outside with good ventilation. Here it is with the pan off. I'll get the old filter off next. It's held on with a couple small bolts. A T25 wrench is required to remove them. Make sure the rubber O-ring comes out. There's two screws that hold the filter on. They are T25s. Okay, here comes the fun part. There's a little rubber that goes around the part that goes into the transmission itself. It would be right there. Now it's not on there. That means it's still stuck up in the transmission. So we want to make sure we get that out of there. The O-ring that goes with the filter is still in the trans body. Make sure that is removed. The new filter comes with a new O-ring. And there it is. Yes, if I can get a shade. It's just a ring that goes on there, but you want to make sure that's off of there. There'll be a new one on the new filter. That's what it looks like when it's back on the old filter. Just want to make sure you get that out of there. Here's the old filter. You can just crack the shell with a hammer and it'll come right apart. This is the inlet that goes into the transmission. And this is the inlet where the fluid goes into the filter. And it goes through here and goes into the transmission. The filter material is this one piece that's folded over kind of like an envelope. Fluid comes in here. Any crud would get captured inside here. Doesn't really look too bad. There's no chunks of metal or anything in here that would look frightening. I'll lube the new filter with some ATF. Then it just presses in and is secured with 2 small screws. Tighten with the T25 wrench. Having the gasket flattened out really pays off here. It sits flat on the pan and the holes line up nice. It's ready to go back on. I'll wipe off the mating surface on the transmission so there's no dirt or anything that might cause a leak when the pan goes back on. The bolts are cleaned up good too. I'll get a few bolts started to hold the pan up, then install the rest and run them up snug. Nothing should be forced. If a bolt doesn't go in easy, it's not right. Start them with your fingers so they don't get cross-threaded, especially those by the crossover pipe. A socket on an extension fits square enough to get them off, but it's angled just enough to cross-thread the bolt if you stick it in the socket on the extension to start it, so use your fingers. The second bolt from the front on the driver's side requires sealant. The instructions call for tightening the bolts to 15 foot-pounds. I'll bring them up evenly to 12 pounds and then to 15. Refill per your vehicle specification. AMSOIL recommends their Signature Series Multi-Vehicle Synthetic ATF for this application. Check out the links in the description of the video for AMSOIL's Vehicle Lookup Guide. This has specific product recommendations for your particular application. I'll put about 3 quarts in first and check the level. You don't want to overfill. I'll cycle it through all the transmission positions, then go for a test ride to warm the fluid up. At the last fluid change, this vehicle took 1 gallon and part of a quart to bring it up to full after dropping the pan for a fluid and filter service. I'll put in 1 gallon then top it off after it's warmed up. Don't want to overfill. The fluid needs to be checked hot. The owner's manual would tell how to determine the proper level on the dipstick for your vehicle. For more information or to purchase AMSOIL products, go to MidwestSynthetic.com. Thanks for watching.